There's nothing worse than that big pause before you know. Okay, it says we're live. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Steve Raju. Am I saying that right, by the way?
It's like Haddad. It really doesn't matter, and I don't really say my name myself. I have no reason to say my name, so whatever you like.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way with Anspa. I don't really care how people say it. It could be Anspa or Onspa. Anyway, this is Steve Raju. He is an amazing copywriter. I was trying to figure out how you first got on my radar, and I saw that we became Facebook friends in like September 2021. And I don't know how. I probably just started seeing you around. Maybe it was the Chris Haddad pig method. Maybe that's when he was promoting it. I'm not sure when. And then very shortly after that, you did your Indian wedding hilarious post series.
I'm glad that somebody got some enjoyment out of it. Personally, it was traumatic. I attended. If you didn't know, I was forced due to cultural mores to attend basically 14 Indian weddings in 30 days. So it was a gauntlet of turmeric and indigestion and diarrhea.
Yes.
Never ended. And as I was kind of slowly losing consciousness and my ability to string sentences together, I just continued to almost like live blog it through posts, which is very popular. Someone said I should make a coffee table book on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. I don't even like scatological humor or copy, but yours was just funny as hell. I remember commenting like, why don't you just not eat the food, Steve? And you're like, if that was an option, believe me, I would take it.
Yeah, it was like a perfect storm. I am a son-in-law, and in Indian culture, when the son-in-law goes to his own in-law's house, normally, you have the right to order them around. Like, I look after your daughter, and you have to be nice to me, otherwise I'm going to be mean to her. So get me a bottle of Lafroig now, and I want to eat a big bowl of chicken now. And so there was one thing that they felt that they would do some kind of it'd be really disgraceful for them if they didn't make sure that I was fed at every single second. And the fact that all these weddings are happening in Canada and I'm from England, there was some kind of international guest of honor. So even when I couldn't actually breathe, and I was like, please, I need to go, because you can't go. It's too early. We have to leave. There's a certain amount of time where you have to kind of show your face for these functions. And And so I had overfed, and I was stuck in a food prison for a month, really.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to, he basically live blogged that experience last year. If you go add him as a friend, and I think you have a hashtag for it. It was like 7 Indian weddings or 7 something.
Yeah, I remember the Indian wedding marathon or something like And then after that, I had a hashtag called complicated man, where it was just the simplest things in life, just all of a sudden started to become very, very difficult to negotiate. I don't know if it's possibly the fact that I'm getting older, or the fact that I am a fish out of water, I'm in a different country. Because even Indians from Britain and Indians in Canada, we kind of look at each other funny, like, what's all that about? So there's lots of layers.
End up here.
There's lots of layers.
Right. But yeah, that got my attention when you were posting that. And then, I mean, you just pretty regularly drop really funny posts like about your life and just things that you see out there. I especially like Steve has been doing this sort of, I don't even know if you call them memes, but this series of things you find and that are just insane and ridiculous. And your line is just, we're not going to make it, are we?
Yeah, I think you have to try to extract the comedy in a lot of the ridiculousn's that's happening in the world today. Otherwise, you just stay in bed, put a saucepan on your head, and cry. And so it's almost kind of like my brand. People expect me to try to find a humorous spin on even the darkest moments in life. And I was actually reading a quote as, why is it that some jokes, when a joke is very edgy, maybe it's like a tragedy that's recently happened and you think, oh, was that too soon? And somebody said to me that comedy equals tragedy plus time. That's it.
Yes.
And the
so
reason
true.
why we laugh is because ultimately the punchline or the joke is hinting at something that's actually true, that everybody knows. And actually, the more universal, the more obvious something is, that's something wrong, or it's a wrinkle in the universe, or something stupid that something's doing. The more obvious and more egregious, the more stupid it is. Actually, the funnier the punchline is. So that's how that works. So I kind of figured that out. So it's, unfortunately, it's not too hard to find lots of examples of people just being absolutely stupid. And I just
that's a really good fit for us in this group too, because that's really our approach. Like we're pretty snarky, but we're also really passionate about what we do, but we see a lot of the ridiculousness of the direct response marketing world, especially what some coaches and gurus are doing. So we definitely are like calling that out, and we're not trying to attack any one person. I mean, everyone's just out there doing their thing, but yeah, we kind of want to present ourselves as, hey, we're really serious about our copywriting careers too. We want to help others come up, but also like we're going to call out the bullshit that we see. So hopefully you can avoid, being taken in by it.
Yeah.
Because there really are a lot of like kind of gurus out there who promise the world, like, I'm going to get you to 10K months, whatever, but really they don't truly care about the people they're helping. They just want their money, and it's about their ego. And even people who started out well-intentioned, we've seen go over to narcissism and just start doing things in their emails and marketing where you're just like, what the fuck? That's kind of why I started the Stay Toxic series on TikTok. I just adapted a trend I saw on there. Like people are mainly using that for the dating world, but I'm like, this could equally apply to a lot of what I see out there.
Yeah.
So
it's funny you should say that, because I saw a post, I think it was Suraj Punjabi, saying how it's common for copywriters to kind of throw shade at a particular guru, and it's just bro marketing, this is absolutely just inflated, makes no sense, gives our industry a bad name. And then that copywriter then may get a gig to write for them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, congratulations, oh, that's amazing, oh, you're crushing it, let's go. And I thought, well,
let's fucking go.
Yeah, either we're for it or against it. And I've seen people who have left copywriting groups on principle, saying that I don't like the way, for example, they may be very, very open about the fact that we manipulate people. And I know manipulation is all about semantics to a large extent.
Right,
but
like
then
the black hat marketing.
Yeah, and then they'll say, no, out of principle, I cannot be in this group anymore. And then it's like an airport, they have to announce that they're leaving.
Yes.
Like just
and
go.
Why?
Yeah, and then just go. And but then the same copywriting then see writing for one of these kind of bro marketer kind of gurus from it. So it's like either you have a set of ethics that actually stands up. You have to be, if you're going to be principled, they can't kind of change from day to day, otherwise they're not principles, are they? They're just what's convenient. But so yeah, no, it's so what you're doing is absolutely, there's a need for it. And I think there's a growing amount of copywriters that I think there's a Alan Sultanic in Nothing Held Back group was saying a while ago, you don't see many old people in direct response. For some reason.
True. Like tired of the kind of BS and the posturing, and it's also just exhausting trying to keep up with every new trend out there.
Yeah, and if you are going to try and keep up and at the same time not be 100% ethical, it does start to eat away at your soul. And so a sustainable route for a copywriter where they can actually be honest and not buy into that, but still take the craft seriously and genuinely try and sell useful products that help people. Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge need for that, right?
Yeah. And some of my co-coaches are commenting, and they've just said, like, we have the same brand of humor. We're laughing at ourselves too. I mean, that's 100% accurate. We have no problem making fun of ourselves. In fact, Rochelle and I are going to do a post later today about that, and we're gonna show some of the more ridiculous moments from our coaching call yesterday, because we also want people to know, like, we're having fun. We're calling out the bullshit, but we're also doing serious work. We're serious, like, working copywriters. We just want to share what we learn. We have like a different approach than what we're seeing out there, and that's why I like what you're doing too. And I especially love the humorous copywriting angle. And I just wanted to ask you a little more about that too. Like, how did you kind of bring that to your clients? Like, this great humor you have in your personal posts, like, how are you adapting that to clients?
Well, my clients tend to be attracted to me from my emails and my posts. They like that
They
voice.
find you.
Something resonates with them. They have a sense of humor, and so I tend to attract the kind of people. There's only one person actually has actually thought that there's a possibility that I might actually be a real spy. I won't mention which A-list copywriter messaged me on Facebook, wanted to know, was I actually working for the British government? And I had to kind of explain that License to Quill actually is me making fun of myself. I am the total opposite of James Bond, other than the fact I've decided, before I was very embarrassed about being British. I felt very, very different and not in the group and very awkward. Then when I decided to lean into it and decided to kind of take this persona, which came to me in a dream, rather, when I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I could trademark that.
I love that.
I did my first workshop, and I think with this particular A-list copywriter asked me, are you really a British secret agent? To which I replied, I can't tell you that. I can neither
perfect.
I can neither confirm
nor deny.
But the whole thing from the beginning was to make fun of myself. Like, I'm not particularly physically fit. I'm not sexually promiscuous like James Bond. I don't like loud noises or violence. I like to be in bed at a decent hour. I don't travel very much since the pandemic. I'm like the total opposite. I'm not even white. So it's all very ironic. And then through my posts, so then I attract clients, and they'll say, like, we like your voice. And in fact, the last VSL I did was, I said that I would put at least 10 jokes in it. And someone said, that is absolutely what I want to do. But when I want to try and write for myself, I just can't. I am funny. People are spontaneously funny, you know, when they're with their friends, when they go out socially, when they have to sat down in front of that blank Google Doc with a blinking cursor, like, okay, be funny, be funny, be funny. And then, so there's definitely a need for that. And I was talking to Chris Haddad, my mentor, and he said, yeah, he'd actually had this discussion with John Colton back in the day, and John Colton had told him that, you know, he could probably see a rebellious streak in Chris, and said, look, I'm telling you now, funny doesn't sell. And Chris said, partly it's my career has been trying to prove him wrong, that it actually does sell. And for him, like $800 million later, it's all about, you know, making an emotional connection with people and being funny. And with his own offers, like with Pig Method, he said, I would deliberately just messing around with people from the beginning. I didn't even know myself what the next thing I was going to write. So he was the one that he encouraged me, like, I had this idea, I came to him with it, and he said, yeah, you need to have some kind of container in which you can kind of share the secret sauce of being funny for copy. And then in the podcast that he recently did with Paris Lambropoulos, which I would recommend to all copywriters to kind of drink in every word that Paris says, because he's very inaccessible. And it's very hard to get to work with him or get any kind of training from him. And then there's a bit where he was saying, how do I help copywriters be more creative? Because creativity is the name of the game when it comes to big ideas and mechanisms and angles and hooks and things. And
I feel like so many of us are afraid to do that too. We get stuck on, we got to follow the formulas and the swipes and do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. And so what he was doing was to try to get people to color outside the box, but they weren't doing copy exercises with him and his copy clubs. One thing they were doing was learning to play a musical instrument and learning to write their own songs, which if you're a copywriter who've got no experience of that at all, it really fires up parts of the brain that have never been used before.
It's good to know, because Rochelle writes raps. I've done that a little bit, but nothing like Rochelle, and we want to do more of it and like share that in our group too.
Yeah, it's interesting how much overlap there is. So there's overlap with copywriting and writing music. And then there's a book that was quoted in that podcast about drawing from the right side of the brain. So he teaches copywriters that can't even draw stick people, and teaches them how to write, how to create like lifelike self-portraits very quickly, as long as you have the right training. And then that also fires up parts of the brain, the creative side of the brain, that doesn't really get used that much. But then the last thing he said is that I teach my copy cubs to write jokes. And that was the thing that really, because I'd already been working on this secretly for a month, and I thought, well, I'm getting validation now from Paris freaking Lambropoulos, who says that copywriters learn to write jokes, learn to write one-liners, because the beginning, before you can learn to write a VSL or write a long sales page, that's just all humorous. You've got to get to the basic building block, and that is like the one-liner, the gag, the joke, the humorous aside, the funny observation. And you also know Ian Stanley the stand-up, Kevin Rogers, copy cheat, stand-up before. And the more you
Jason Flading apparently used to be a rapper. I had no idea. Yeah. This kind of got my wheels spinning because somebody in the RMBC method group posted that it was a copywriter who got freestyle lessons from Harry Mack.
Oh, wow.
Just like, yeah. And I'm just like, oh, I should do that. Like, it's just, to me, it makes sense. Like stand-up comedy, rapping are just extensions of being really good with words and language. It's just the performative aspect of it. Yeah. It's just like a different creative outlet. It's a way to stand apart. So yeah, I think what Ian Stanley is doing is awesome. I want to be like the rapping copywriter along with Rochelle Davis, and yeah, we'll, take over.
There's a lot of potential for your TikToks if you own that, the rapping copywriters, and you can actually.
Hell yeah. On TikTok, they do these artists will do open verse challenges. So they'll film like themselves a little part of their song. And then like, there's a section that you can do your own thing over. So they like remove the words, almost like karaoke, but you can freestyle. So I'm trying to do more of that. I've done like one that was pretty bad, but it's just getting started,
That's one thing that whenever you see like, even like Jerry Seinfeld or like Rodney Dangerfield in the past, and then you just see them just spitting out just like hilarious kind of zingers, one after another after another after another, and you think, wow, they've got some kind of amazing skill that I'll never be able to do it. But being funny is a learned skill, and you can definitely acquire it. And one thing that stand-up comics say, that quantity is quality. In the same that we write 10 headlines, and or we'll write Paris itself used to write 700 bullets, I think. We'll just use 10 of them. They'll be like the best. So you write 10 jokes. You might have something you want to say. You want to start off with an opinion or some value judgment or something that's happening in the news or something in the industry you want to call out, or whatever industry you're writing for, whether it's for yourself or for your client. And you start off with that. And that's the other thing that comedy has in common with copy, is it's all about subtext. Because as you know, when people actually buy, they watch a video, they read the sales page, they don't remember the words verbatim. It's just an emotional reaction to the hook, and they're kind of pretty much by the lead, by the first 500 words, they've got a kind of an inkling, of feeling like, I'm probably going to buy this. And then it just builds up, and then all those objections are kind of knocked out in the body, and then the bullets, and then the FAQ, and then whatever, and then, we're going to give you this bonus, and it's just this feeling that builds up, and eventually there's a tipping point, and okay, right, I'm going to get my credit card out, whether it's on that occasion or when they're being retargeted. But they don't remember the text, but they absorb the subtext, and that's what comedy is about. Is that you, for example, there was a joke that I wrote that when the Queen recently died and she had a funeral, and I wrote a joke saying, breaking news, Prince Andrew also to be sealed in royal vault. Now, why is that funny? The reason why it's funny is the subtext of that is that Prince Andrew is allegedly, he has spent a lot of time with a paedophile, and he's been accused of being a paedophile. And he has zero, possibly everybody hates him, especially in Britain. So you don't have to mention that in the joke, but the joke alludes to a subtext, a reality, a truth, or a reference that everybody knows. So you don't mention the fact of the accusation of what, but it's alluding to the subtext. And that's the thing with, you don't have to be so on the nose all the time. I mean, that might be a bit hardcore DR, but the subtext, the emotions that we're trying to shape, especially when you're doing storytelling, it's very, very similar. And also, when you're doing your editing rounds for copy and you're trying to tighten things up, same thing with jokes. Just taking one word out of the punchline might be all that's needed to make a joke go from flat to being funny, or vice versa. So you have to be merciless at cutting when you're writing a joke. And so when you write lots of jokes, then that is a very transferable skill. Then when you go back and then you write your next sales page, your copy starts to get really tighter, really emotional, gets to the point, very good for hitting emotions. Your stories become more engaging. And then I understood this is why Paris does it. So then I thought I should learn this for myself, and then maybe I should see if anybody else is interested in learning.
Yeah. So the other reason I wanted to bring Steve on right now is he's teaching a workshop next week called You'll Buy Laughing. And I assume you have like an actual kind of formula, or you teach people how to get started. They, like you said, are trying to be funny and just end up staring at a Google Doc because they don't know where to start. Do you want to tell us a little more about your workshop?
Yes, so that's next Wednesday or Thursday to cater for all the Australians. And I've actually had one student who's in Ukraine in the middle of a war zone right now, and saying, do you mind doing it at a different time? So you can come
he
on
needs to laugh more than anybody.
Exactly. So you can come on Wednesday, or you can come on Thursday. And it's at licensedtoquill.co/YBL, You'll Buy Laughing. And it's a 4-step process about how, if you got something that you want to convey, whether it's for your own copy or you're writing for your client's brand voice or whatever the subject is, it lends itself to being a bit humorous, and you kind of want to think of something funny. And then it's like, how do stand-up comics, how do they look at the news, for example? How do they take something that's inherently true, or it could be an opinion that many people share, and then how do you then break it down to its simplest form, and then apply different techniques? And it sounds a lot more complicated than it is, but you apply different techniques to that truth or that subtext, and then you just go through, and then you'll find it sparks off inspiration and creativity in like a completely new direction. The great thing about this workshop is that, unlike most workshops where you just sat there listening to somebody talk, we keep it interactive. So everybody comes up, they have to think of something that they want to say, their message or their truth or their subtext. So we all have a shared Google Doc, and then we go through the different techniques, and you can actually see people who don't think of themselves being very funny cracking themselves up laughing. Because they can't get out the words of, oh yeah, I've got a great idea, and then you tell them, and then it sparks up another idea. And then different people on the workshop, when someone gets stuck, says, oh, I've got a joke for you, I just made a joke, and they make the joke, and they're like, oh, that's gold, Jerry, that's gold. And then so it's collaborative. We go through there's lots of different ways in which you can make a subtext funny. We'll have time in 2 hours to go through the four I think the easiest ones. The one we won't do shock. And the reason why, not that I have anything against shock humor, is that it tends to, it's going to be too polarizing if you're going to use it for copy to sell. I was going to say,
polarizing.
So we don't do shock, but we will do misplaced focus. We may do exaggeration, hyperbole, extreme opposites, irony. And we just apply these different angles to your truth or your message or what you want. And it's amazing how you can take a very bland sentence or statement and all of a sudden make it into something really funny. And the thing is that when you're somebody who's obviously at the top of their game, when they're doing stand-up or whatever, they can really captivate you. And there's a saying with comedians that you give of yourself to the person that makes you laugh. Like, they have your full attention. So if you can genuinely make a target audience for a market actually chuckle, that really laugh, they're automatically primed to find out what's coming next. And as humans, we're seeking out the comfort that comes from feeling good. Laughter produces all that dopamine and all the other good hormones. So we seek that out. We like people that make us laugh. our attention
We
goes
need
to.
it more than ever too.
Yeah. So from a copywriting point of view, it's great for grabbing and retaining attention, creating your emotional connection, moving people to be primed to buy and then wanting to buy because they like you. And then also from a copy point of view, it is a supercharger when it comes to being economic with words, but being highly effective at the same time. And also conveying a truth without necessarily having to say it. So people are joining the dots for themselves, which is much more powerful when it comes to storytelling. It just levels you up as a copywriter, which is why it's like we said, Kevin Rogers, Ian Stanley, Jason, Rochelle with the music. Those kind of, you could say, it may appear to be not directly related to copywriting, but if you can do something that's creative, you'll be surprised as to how much overlap there is. And I think that's much better than trying to read the Robert Collier letters for the 100th time and hoping that something magical will kind of just by osmosis will go into your brain and you'll channel the great newspaper copywriters from 100 years ago.
Yes, I respect people who have the mental bandwidth to do that. I don't. I can't even really focus on it. I mean, like I listened to Chris Haddad's podcast with Alan Sultanich, and he was saying he decided to learn copywriting for himself and get really good at it. And he read every single thing that existed about copywriting, like from the last 100 years. I was like, holy shit, like I'm a working copywriter and I've never even done that. I didn't even get any mentorship or read copywriting books till I was like a year in. So I'm not saying I'm a great example to follow, but
No,
you know, if you want to think for yourself though, you know, maybe don't go too deep. And
yeah, I mean, like Ben Settle is all about, rather than buy 100 copy books, just read one and read it 100 times. It's about how many people own this, for example. Quite right here. Everybody seems to have bought like 100 million other offers, and read it once. And it's made absolutely zero difference to their ability to create offers because there's just too much information out there. I mean, there's an offer going on right now with I think it's Todd Brown's decade long swipe file, like 4,000 pages of swipes from direct mail over the last 10 years. And it's still not sold out, which I'm actually not surprised about, because I think a lot of copywriters, we don't want more information and have to figure out how do I apply this.
I know myself too well. If I buy something like that, it's just going to sit on my desktop and mock me. It's going to go into the download graveyard, you know, even though I have the best intentions, you know, it's not going to get used.
Yeah, even though we're a sophisticated market as copywriters, I think we're among the most sophisticated on the internet, because we know all the tricks and what's coming next and how things are put together. But at the same time, we're still all about outcomes more than ever now. We've all read thousands of pages of theory. So yeah, that's why rather than read lots of dry, dusty old books, if you want to practice your creativity, I think David Deutsch also recommends read books about storytelling, read books about screenwriting, read books about poetry.
Human psychology.
Learn, for example, I mean, normally when I have an argument with my wife, and I realize I try to use, and then you think the next time, and I know there's going to be a flashpoint about a particular thing that we don't agree on, I will use copywriting techniques and then find how to but then she does it with me as well. She'll say something like, now, you know, on Saturday we're all going to my mother's for that party, and I'm like, oh, yes, no, I know you don't really want to go. So what you could do
here's why you should. Here are the benefits of you going.
This is what she'll say. She'll say, if you don't want to go, the leaves need raking in the front yard and the back.
So she'll give you like a terrible alternative.
So if you do it now, not only will you don't have to go and visit your mother-in-law, you'll also have enough time to watch the game. And then she just kind of if she'd have just asked me straight out, like, rake the leaves, yeah, I'll get to it. But then I thought, when I broke it down from a copywriting point of view, I was like, oh, that's good. So, like, she showed me hell. And then this other course of action that I normally wanted to take all of a sudden became very, 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 very attractive. So yeah, even marriage counseling.
I'm seeing a headline like, here's why the spouses and significant others of copywriters hate them. or just like something about using persuasive techniques in your relationships. I mean, it really does. Being a copywriter bleeds over into so many different things.
Yes, which is why there's so many pickup artists and
yes. Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah, did you see a post I did about that?
Yes.
I was like, why are all copywriters either ex pickup artists or pastors? Like, there's so many.
But
because it's like persuasion.
Yeah, there's so many skills that can be used. That there's definite kind of carryover. I know Todd Brown actually recommended, because I used to write speeches back when I was in England, and he actually recommends Political Speech Writers Companion, because speech writers, especially in the US, they're always concerned about having some kind of sound bite that will be like some earworm that's kind of sticks in your head. They know if it's like a 15-minute speech or an hour-long speech done by some kind of candidate, that the whole speech is not going to be covered on the evening news, but they'll probably just pick out on like 10 seconds and play like the evening news. So the speech writer is deliberately thinking of the hook and how they create their hooks to make sure that that's what gets played on the evening news, is what the potential voters think about all night. So there's a science to that, but there's so much that's very, very similar to copywriting. So that's another. You'll find the best, your best inspiration, and for actually improving your skills is not a lot of copywriting for human psychology. That's all been done. We have all those books. We've probably read them before. But if you want to try and find an edge or to improve yourself, often the inspiration will come from other fields that are similar but not the same.
Yeah. Hey, just so you know, I remembered I'm on the Zoom 40-minute account, so we have like 5 minutes. I'm like trying to upgrade right now, but I don't know if we'll do it in time. But we need to end. I need to be out of here at 1:45 anyway to pick up my kid. Hence why I did not actually pop a drink and do the drunken chat this time, even though I said I would. But that was marketing. I just wanted people to show up. I wanted to have a drink, but I just have too much going on. Too much to do today.
Definitely the last 2.5 years I've become more of a day drinker than before.
Well, besides, I think around later this evening, me and Rochelle and some other people in this group might even do like a live freestyle lesson with drinks. So we'll see how that goes. We thought it'd be funny to do a challenge with our coaches in this group to see if we can freestyle, with Rochelle teaching us how to do it. So
you can. I remember I was at a copywriter club. They once did almost like I don't know if it was drunk copy critique or copy review, but then it was like the challenge is that you can only, when you do your criticism or you do your review, you can only use an inappropriate metaphor. So you can't say anything.
I like it.
So that might be interesting if you've 3 beers in to try and set challenges like that. It should have. Yeah. Too many people are too po-faced and serious about.
That's what we think.
Yeah,
just make it fun.
Might as well enjoy it, and then it doesn't feel like work. That's what I feel like when I'm writing. When I'm writing copy, but I'm actually genuinely laughing to myself. It doesn't feel like work, and I don't come away from the computer with a bad back or like tense shoulders and thinking, "Oh no, I don't know how this is going to work or not." Like, just love it. Just laugh. So I think it's a great way of writing copy. And obviously, there are some topics that are very sensitive, and it wouldn't, or the brand voice just doesn't lend itself to writing humorously. But there are so many that people think that our humor wouldn't work here, and it absolutely does. Like for B2B, it's still the same people. I know John Booker with Charm Offensive, that he just sends people like, you know, drunk ferrets
Yes.
and things like that.
I used to follow him too.
Yeah.
And I used a lot of his templates. I used to promote him. I used his templates. I definitely got some good response.
Yeah.
You know, you send an email to someone trying to get their business and you're like, or like, come join my group. I talk about copywriting, direct response marketing, and crocheting cosplay costumes for cats. I think that was the line I had. And, you know, just what, like, make people wake up a little and maybe laugh. And I definitely got some responses doing that.
Yeah, it's a great pattern interrupt, and also creates an emotional affinity. I think it's a real shortcut, and it'll just make you a better copywriter, which is what I think. And you might as well enjoy yourself while you're
Exactly.
while your craft. So that's it, really. Can I make a pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
come to my workshop. You go to License to Quill, LICENSETOQUILL, licensetoquill.co/YBL. And it's only 67 Americans, which is £1 million right now.
Yeah. We're getting a bargain.
Yeah, 2 hours, you'll walk away with an unbelievable skill, or level you up as a copywriter, and ultimate, you could say, creativity supercharger. Paris Lambropoulos will not teach you this. You won't even know how to find him, and it'll probably cost you a lot more than 67 bucks. And I can teach you the basics in which you can get started for yourself. So
yeah, join them, sign up. I think I'm gonna do it. I love your style too, and I want to do more humorous copywriting. So thanks for coming on. And by the way, I'm not making any money from this. I just like Steve and want to promote what he's doing because I think it's great. So go sign up.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Steve.
Thank you. And come get your copy critiqued and reviewed by the amazing team at Copy Catalyst. This is where it's happening.
It's all happening right here. Yes, we're having fun with it. So hopefully other people will enjoy it too and learn.
Yeah, cool.
We know stuff. We're funny, but we also know stuff.
Yes.
Same with Steve.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve. And thanks, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.